At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. Of course, you're watching Coffee with Krueger. And you know, today, you're going to notice some big changes in the forecast. Warmer temperatures, more winds, but you know, yesterday was still that transition day, right? We still saw some showers out there, and as expected, there were some brief periods of some even moderate rainfall for some of us in the afternoon and evening hours. This is sent to us by David Hoffman. Looks like on his drive up I-5 to Corning, you can see looking off to the west, looking at some of those clouds. And of course, some of those showers that we saw associated with that as well. And of course, heading up north, out towards Lake Shasta. Also from David Hoffman, sending this using the Weather NorCal app, by the way. It's a great resource to also share your photos as well. In fact, if you want to share your photos, all you have to do is download the app for free on your iPhone, your Android. I showed someone at the grocery store yesterday. I ran into someone who didn't even know I was doing Coffee with Krueger until they ran into me yesterday. We took a nice selfie, had some fun, and chatted it up. I showed her how to download the app. She now has the app. And if you're watching this morning, I didn't even get your name. Welcome. I hope you're watching this morning. But yeah, it's very easy to download. I showed her. She had an Android. I have an iPhone. I saw on an Android just how easy it is. So you can do it. You can do it. Send those photos in too. Let's take a look at those temperatures. And before we get to that, take a look at the conditions right now. This is the Caltrans camera looking at Main Street, Chico on Highway 32. And we take you out to Highway 99 at Neal Road. There you can see some of the clearing, although there still are some clouds out there this morning. A lot of those clouds will start to move on out. By the way, if you're watching and here for the first time, you're watching maybe on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, right? Know that you can watch me on your big screen, on your TV. If you have a TV with YouTube, you're good to go. All you have to do is get onto YouTube app from your smart TV, search for Weather NorCal, and then, of course, subscribe to the Weather NorCal YouTube channel. And then you'll see that there is an option to see a live streaming channel. Now that streaming channel there is all the time. It's like a regular TV station, right? Where it's on 24/7, right? At a certain time, at 6:30, Monday through Friday, you can tune into that streaming channel and watch Coffee with Krueger. You can also do that from Fire TV. You can do that from Roku. All you got to do is download the apps and check that out. All right, just wanted to kind of give you a heads up on that. Right now, we're at 48 degrees in Redding. The winds are blowing a little bit out there, and you know what? It's one of those winds that still, it kind of goes through you a bit. Makes it feel a little bit cooler than it is actually outside. But there you can see about 43 for Red Bluff, 41 in Chico, 31 in Quincy. And there you can see Alturas right now at Chile, 28 degrees this morning. There you can see, of course, Hoopa about 41 degrees. And we are looking at about 36 degrees right now in Eureka, 40 degrees in Crescent City. All right, let's take a look at the wind alerts. And yes, there are some wind advisories out there we need to tell you about. And what we're seeing here, of course, wind advisory for the Sacramento Valley for 5 o'clock today until 5 p.m. Friday. So this is going to be basically this afternoon, really you'll notice the wind's picking up, but this will be a Thursday, Friday event. Same situation for the Eastern Mountains. High wind warning from 11 p.m. until 5 p.m. Friday. Now you'll notice kind of that gap of no watch or warning between the valley and the mountains. It's still going to be windy there. It's still going to be quite windy, as a matter of fact, especially as you start heading up above 4,000 feet. There you can see the wind speeds right now. A little breezy right now in Eureka, right? But otherwise, we are looking at about 4 miles per hour in places like Crescent City, as a matter of fact. All right, so let's go ahead and see what's going on out there. We'll take a look at the wind speeds and the forecast wind speeds. And there you can see about 13 miles an hour as we go into 8 a.m. But look at this. As we go around the noon hour, those winds are starting to pick up. I'm expecting about 11 miles per hour for Redding, although it looks like a little bit stronger as you head out to Red Bluff, Willows, and Chico, about 13. All right, let's take you off into this afternoon. And you can still see some pretty gusty winds out there. I mean, we're looking at those gusts possibly upwards around 20, close to 30 miles per hour. So as I mentioned, I'm anticipating that those winds are going to pick up through the afternoon. Because look at this, as we go into tonight and tomorrow morning, here you can see, especially on the north and west side of the valley, you got some gusty winds. But look at the mountains east of the valley, right? You're seeing some pretty gusty winds there. This is where I anticipate some of the strongest winds, and even parts of southern Trinity County as well tomorrow morning. By noon, still some pretty gusty winds out there, and even the eastern mountains getting caught up in these winds as well. That's why we've got that high wind warning, right? And especially over those higher mountain ridges. But the coast, the wind's not as bad. We take you out to Thursday afternoon. Again, the coast's not that bad. Still pretty gusty in the valley, and not to mention the eastern mountains. And then Friday morning, there you can see 8 a.m. Look how strong the winds are going to be. In fact, they may be even stronger for Thursday night into Friday morning. And then going into Friday afternoon, the winds finally start to relax a bit. And in fact, just in time for the weekend, the winds will die down. And it's going to be gorgeous. Look at this. No chain requirements out there. There may be still a few slick spots out there, as a matter of fact. We'll take a look at some of the cameras. This is out on I-5, and there's Snowman Summit. Looks like it's all cleared out, as well as I-5 and 89 near Mount Shasta City and Dunsmuir, all cleared out. Looks dry, too, for the most part. A little foggy, a little misty out at Collier Tunnel. North of Collier Tunnel, not as bad. It looks like it's still a little bit of that snow at the side of the road. There's Oregon Mountain, Buckhorn Summit, or just below Buckhorn Summit, and there you can see Berry Summit looks all clear as well. Let's take you out to Highway 299 East, Hatchet Mountain, all good. Looks like even Cedar Pass is looking pretty good. Again, there may be some slick spots over some of those higher mountain passes, but for the most part, things are looking good. Check this out. We actually saw a brief flurry on Highway 44 near Lassen Park. Kind of interesting, right? So you can kind of see some of the tire tracks in there. It didn't last for very long, and it didn't amount to much, but it covered the roadway there. Look at Bogard Ranger Station. Looks a little icy there as well. But again, no chain requirements based on the Caltrans, right? At Chester, 4,500 feet. Johnson Great for down your summit. All cleared out, looking pretty good. We take you out to East Riverside, southeast Susanville. Looks like you have pretty good conditions there in town. All right, let's take a look at the rain totals the last 3 days. And the reason I'm talking about the rainfall totals is because last week, when I was talking about this big warm-up that we're just about to start and drier weather that we're just about to start, I had mentioned that we've got 3 days before that we're going to see some decent rain. And we certainly did see that. You take you out towards North Reading at 1.64, Chico about an inch in the last 3 days, but not nearly as much in the central portions of the valley. And that's because, again, we got a little bit of that shadowing that tends to see a little bit less rain there as a result. But look at the coast. I mean, over an inch for most of the North Coast. In fact, you can see 2.11 in Crescent City, Redway 1.71, Hoopa, over an inch and a half, as well as Willow Creek. Trinity County didn't do that bad either. Hayfork just under an inch, as well as Weaverville just over 3/4 of an inch. Look at Ruth. Southern Trinity County, 1.74. But didn't see quite as much in Mount Shasta or Etna or even Wairika, not to mention Alturas, and even Susanville only saw about 1/100 of an inch. So again, this is good to see. And how we're doing so far for the season, also good to see. Look at the Reading Airport, 104%. Now, if you think about West Reading, it's probably a higher percentage than that, but don't have the numbers to give you what we're seeing here, like we do have for the airport. We were actually doing a little bit better this time last year. Red Bluff still a little bit behind, but, you know, for all intents and purposes, we're where we should be this time of the year with rain in Red Bluff. We were doing better last year at 122%. How about Eureka, 128%? Better than last year, which was 107%. How about Crescent City, almost 150% of average. Last year, 91%. So I don't think anybody can complain about the amount of rain that we've seen, because we've seen plenty. For those of you who are maybe concerned that we're going to go into a drought, I wouldn't be concerned about that just yet, right? We're at 122% of average for Mount Shasta for the season. Montague, okay, 84%. But there are these areas that are typically don't see as much rainfall. I mean, the normal amount of rainfall for Montague is 7.81. I mean, we take you out to Alturas, the normal amount of rainfall is 6.5. So we typically don't see as much rainfall in the northern portions of the state, not to mention northeastern portions of the state. For example, Modoc County. But last season, we were 124% of average. This season, we're about 113% of average. So we're doing quite well. All right, so what about the snowpack? Well, can't complain about that either. In most cases, as you can see here, Northern Sierra and Trinity, 112% of April 1st average today, that is. But normal today at 117. Central Sierra, normal today at 101. As you head to the south, not as impressive, but again, when you look at the statewide average, about 100%. We're where we should be when it comes to snow. And I don't think we can really get too concerned about that. I think we're doing just beautifully. And on top of that, you think about the snowpack, that's the reserve for the lakes. So we've got plenty reserve in the mountains as we speak right now. And when you look at the lake levels, look at the capacity. I mean, right now the capacity is about 75 to 85% in the lakes. You can see a historical average, we're well above normal where we should be for where the lake levels are. So things are looking really good when we're talking about water. Okay, so let's take a look at your planner for today, get you through the day. We have got sunny skies, temperatures upper 50s in Trinity County for the North Coast. Mainly sunny skies this afternoon, mid to upper 50s for the coast and inland. How about Siskiyou County? Plenty of sunshine. I think we're going to start off with some clouds this morning. There's a bit of a northerly flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere, still bringing some clouds down into places like Siskiyou, Del Norte, Modoc County. But otherwise, mainly sunny skies for most of us. There's Modoc County. Some of the clouds this morning turning over to mostly sunny by the afternoon. Taking a look at the eastern mountains, still just some of those passing high clouds throughout the day today. Temperatures upper 40s in Susanville, but Bernie about 50. Paradise about 58 for that high today. And how about the valley? Looking at those temperatures in the low 60s. So yeah, I mean, just absolutely gorgeous out there. Do want to remind you that I do have, and I work with some radio partners out there, K Shasta 106X and KQMS. At about 7:30, 7:35, we do an update with Don and Heather in the mornings. And then with Logan Kane in the AM about 7:50 in the morning. I do a weather update with him. And at about 8:05 in the morning, Stephen Clark on KQMS, I do an update with them. So you have an opportunity while you're driving to work or getting the kids off to school to, of course, listen to my latest forecast. If you didn't get a chance to watch Coffee with Krueger, and if you didn't get a chance to even just watch my morning update, which I update at 5 a.m., you can always check that out. Watch that on a 24-hour channel. You can watch that from your app. You can watch it anywhere you want. All right? See how everybody's doing this morning here. We have a kind of a low audience this morning, but hey, always good to see you in the morning. Good morning to Ruth. Why is our weather so bipolar? Like nice warm temps, then back to cold, wet. It's just the pattern, right? You see high pressure kind of settle in, then it kind of cools off again. Quite honestly, this is the way to do it. I think this is the way to do it because we get some rain, we get those cool temperatures, we get snow in the mountains, then we get to see a bit of a break. It clears out, it warms up a little bit, we dry out, we get to enjoy what Mother Nature has to offer, and then we're back to, getting back to business and getting those lakes filled, and getting the reserve up in the mountains kind of filled up with snow, right? So it's good. This is all good. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty typical. Good morning from Nick Woods. Frozen in Fortuna. Yeah, interesting. Let's take a look at those current temperatures out there right now and see what we're dealing with. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me too much. You can see here that we've got 36 degrees in Eureka. So yeah, I mean, it could be a little bit colder. You start getting some of those wind-sheltered areas, and I mean, that's kind of what we're dealing with. I'm back. I'm here. So yeah, kind of interesting to kind of see some of those cold temperatures that we are seeing in some areas here. But Becky, thank you for the report there. Good morning from Paradise. Rebecca, good morning. Another day in paradise. I'm sure you always get those jokes all the time. Good morning from 7 miles west of Red Bluff. Thank you, Curtis. Good morning to you. Good morning. We're ready for the sunshine. Less folks watching due to time change. Yeah, probably. But when the weather starts kind of settling down and there's less to, when you hear it's going to be a beautiful sunny day, I mean, do you need to hear it from the weatherman? Probably not, right? But it's still fun. We want to have fun in the mornings and chat it up and all that good stuff. And good morning from Hoopa. It's nippy but gorgeous. I'm assuming that's what you're going to say. Yeah. And it's going to be warmer in the afternoon. Why do I have to go to Facebook to chat? Well, Catherine, because if you're watching from your 24-hour channel, for example, whether it's YouTube on your TV, you don't really have the ability to type in what you need to type in. If you're watching from Roku or Amazon Fire Stick, same thing. You don't have the opportunity to type in because it's like you're watching on TV, and it's like you're watching regular TV, and you can't interact. Okay. Now, if you're watching from the website and watching the 24-hour streaming channel there, still no opportunity to basically chat or do anything like that. So the only way you can do that is if you're on a social media account, whether it is on YouTube, on your computer, or on your phone. Then you can go into the chat section and type something in. And if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, of course, you have the ability to interact there as well. Otherwise, all the other platforms that don't allow you to chat, that's the reason why. So otherwise, if you don't need to chat or anything like that, you could do both, right? You could have your Facebook up on your phone or whatnot, or on your computer. But if you want to still have it on your big screen TV, you can do that as well. So you can watch, and if you're like, oh, I want to ask a question, then you can just go to your Facebook page, right, and do that, or YouTube, or Twitter, or X. X Twitter, man, it's okay. So that's hopefully answers your question there, Catherine. Good morning, Bill. Good morning from Shasta Lake. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, it's turning out to be a kind of a little chilly start to the day, but we are going to warm up. Today's not going to be the big warm up, though, by the way. Tomorrow will be. Tomorrow we'll notice it being a bit warmer out there, and of course we'll notice it warmer going into the weekend as well. A lot warmer. Right now I don't have temperatures in the 80s for those daytime highs, but I think some of us could touch 80 degrees. Could be interesting. So as a result, we're going to have a gorgeous weekend. Gorgeous. This is going to be probably one of the best weekends we've had in a while. So I recommend, if you have the opportunity to go on a nice hike, to do something outside, to really enjoy these warmer temperatures. And on top of that, it's not going to be windy over the weekend. So beautiful. Beautiful time to be outdoors over the weekend in particular. Casey chiming in at 3,600 foot elevation in Shingletown, 0.63 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. Yeah, good. Casey, if you have it offhand, what'd you see for the last 3 days? I'd be curious. Because based on, I'd be curious to see, because based off of my information that I get, and what did I do with that? Where is it? I've got it in here somewhere. Here it is. Here are the rainfall totals for the last 3 days. And in Shingletown, 1.6. So, Case, I'd be curious, because you're at 3,600 foot elevation. I believe the rain gauge that I'm getting the information from for Shingletown is maybe a little bit higher in elevation, maybe a little bit more to the east of you. But 1.6 in the last 3 days there. So, Casey, 0.63 and 0.24. That does not surprise me. Good morning from Janesville. What? All right. Here's the deal, man. I am super thrilled. Let's get this up here for the folks up in Oroville. I need to adjust that map. There we go. There we go. All right. Janesville. So yeah, Eastern Mountains. Let's get more people. Noel, I want you to do me a favor. Tell all your friends in Janesville, tell all your friends in Susanville about Weather NorCal. I know that your typical viewing area is for Reno, but you're in Northern California. I'm in Northern California. We all are in California. So you want to get your forecast from someone who lives in California. Honestly, you're obviously closer to Reno, but there you go. Excellent. Thank you, Noel. You chat me up. That's what you got to do. That's what I want all of you to do. Chat me up. That's a cool expression. Chat me up. Chat it up. There you go. There are those rainfall totals. Thank you, Noel. Yeah, I appreciate all of you who have done that, who have pointed people in the direction of my app, who have pointed people in the direction of watching Coffee with Krueger, the works. Oh, there you go, 1.72 inches last 3 days for me. I think the station you use is about 0.5 miles west of you. Interesting. Okay. And that's about what I was reporting. So cool. Good to see. Good to see that there's a good representation there. And I'm sure that you've got some good totals there as well. So thank you, Casey, for getting back to me on that one. I appreciate that. All right, folks, it is about that time, and I'm going to be putting my coat on. So when I get up to the green screen behind me with all the maps, I'll be looking a little bit more dapper, a little bit more professional as I get up to the green screen. So let's get to it. Let's get you to the forecast here. But before we do that, of course, we need to remind you that Coffee with Krueger is sponsored, and it's made possible by Wind River. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Okay, let's get to that forecast, folks. Thank you, Wind River, for your sponsorship. Let's get to those temperatures, and we're at about 48 degrees for Redding. Now, here's the thing. You're probably noticing, why is Redding warmer than, say, Red Bluff and Corning and Chico and even Oroville? Well, there's a reason for that. We've got a bit of a north wind right now. That north wind keeps the temperature up a little bit. However, it's also a bit of a brisk north wind. It's still a little chilly out there. So if you're out and about and those winds are kind of blowing, it's going to kind of blow through you a little bit, make it feel a little bit cooler than it actually is. But then once we do warm things up, it's not going to be much of a wind chill factor, because once you get above 50, 55 degrees, you tend to don't feel the impacts of that wind chill. 30 degrees for Burry, 28 degrees for Alturas, 32 right now in Susanville. Not too far from Janesville. If you're watching in Janesville, I know you still are. 40 degrees for Crescent City, 36 in Eureka, and Redway, about 38 degrees. All right, so here's a look at your weather headlines. Dry and warmer starting today. Now here's the thing, it's going to be drier, but it's not necessarily going to be that much warmer. And we're going to tack on about 5 degrees, 6 degrees from what we've seen the last few days. But really the bigger increase in the temperatures will be later this week. Now the winds, you're going to notice, in fact, some of you even this morning noticed the winds a little breezy at times. But the winds will be picking up here through the day today. But I expect the strongest winds to be Thursday and into Friday. Highs possibly getting close to 80 degrees in some cases, and especially this weekend. Cooler weather returns near the middle of next week, but not quite as cool as initially thought. So here's what's going on. You see this right here? This is a big ridge of high pressure over the eastern Pacific. This is going to be responsible for the warmer weather that we are going to see in the days to come. But there still are some clouds out there. That's because we're right directly over that flow of the jet stream, and it's still bringing in some clouds coming in from the north. But as this starts to build, we're going to see less of that cloud cover, and we'll be looking at more in the way of sunshine. So we look at Futurecast. So what I was talking about, that flow from the north, keeping a few clouds out there in Del Norte, even parts of Humboldt County as well. Not to mention Siskiyou, Modoc County, northern portions of Lassen County. But overall, a lot of sunshine. I mean, you can see here, not even much in the way of cloud cover there either. Now we go into your Thursday, sunny skies. We go into your Friday, you bet it, you bet, sunny skies. But one of the things that we need to talk about is the fact that on Thursday, Friday, yeah, those winds, pretty strong. So here's the setup right now. Of course, you saw that big ridge of high pressure that I was talking about. You see how all the rain, most of the clouds kind of move up and over that ridge? So it pretty much kind of fizzles out. But what we've got here is the flow of that jet stream right on top of us. This is going to be the setup that we see later this afternoon. This is going to allow us to see those winds pick up through the afternoon, and especially as we go into tonight, and not to mention your Thursday. So there's the area of high pressure building, and which, by the way, this is what's known as an omega block for a couple of reasons, right? Well, the main reason is called omega. Look at the jet stream right here. See that shape? That shape may remind you of a Greek letter, omega. So that's why it's called an omega block. Why is it called a block? Well, see this storm system right here? See all of this rain? It wants to move eastward and move over us, but it can't because of the omega block. This acts like a brick wall, so it pushes that energy up to the north. And of course, that rain and snow goes up to the north over that. But as it goes over that, it starts to lose a lot of its energy, as this area of low pressure will. All right, so enough about the Omega block. Let's talk about the winds, because now we still have the area of high pressure here, low pressure over Southern California, and the difference between the two is giving us some strong winds coming in from the north. So this is why I expect the winds to be strongest Thursday, even into Friday morning. But what we'll notice here is there's that ridge building in even stronger. But see how this area of low pressure here is starting to ride up and over that ridge. So this area of low pressure will weaken, but it'll also break away at the ridge a little bit. So again, still those gusty winds on Friday, but you'll also notice that the lines where we're seeing the strongest winds, when we see these lines here, they're called isobars. When they're packed together, that's when we see the strongest winds. So those tightly packed isobars are actually shifting southward. So Sacramento, for example, especially Friday afternoon, will probably see stronger winds as a result. But then this is what happens over the weekend. Look at this high pressure. High pressure still in place, but now the winds are no longer a factor. They're basically down over Southern California. That area of low pressure is riding up over the north. There's another one riding to the north. Again, we still have that blocking ridge and it's pushing all that energy to the north. But what we've got for Saturday, Sunday is high pressure pretty much just to our north, winds dying down, warmer air in place. We've got the best of this situation because we're going to be looking at sunny skies, warm temperatures, and calm winds. Then, as we go into your Monday, Tuesday of next week, that ridge of high pressure begins to shift to the south. Low pressure still over Southern California. But see these storm systems? We've got one here. We got another one here. What these ridges or what these troughs do is they kind of break away and push that warmer air and that ridge off to the east. So it's breaking away at that ridge of high pressure. And as a result, our temperatures will start to drop as we go into Tuesday, and in particular Wednesday and Thursday. Chances for rain are pretty slim, fairly moisture starved. This one could potentially bring us maybe a little bit of rain toward the end of next week. But as it stands right now, not much rain, but we do expect the warmer temperatures will experience to drop a bit as some of those storm systems kind of ride through Northern California. But again, not a lot of rain. So winds, let's talk about those. Wind advisory starting at 5 p.m. today. But again, keep in mind the winds will be progressively getting stronger through the afternoon and it will expire at 5 p.m. on Friday. So it's going to be between that time frame that we see some of the strongest winds. High wind warning for the areas east of the valley. So the eastern mountains seeing some strong winds. Now I expect the strongest winds there to be above 4,000 feet. Now when you've got winds this strong, up to 60, 65 miles per hour, power outages are certainly going to be a bit of a concern here. And maybe even some power outages for the valley if we can get those winds strong enough. All right, so here's a look at the forecast winds. Now, really when we look at this, you can see here as we go into noon today, see how the winds are starting to pick up, especially south of Redding, around Red Bluff, Willows, even Chico. But look at the surrounding areas. The winds aren't that strong. Maybe a little breezy along the coast here for this afternoon. And you can see here as we go 5 p.m., the winds actually relax a little bit. Still pretty strong around Chico and Willows, but up to the north end of the valley, not as strong. And still not quite as strong for the eastern mountains as well. Then we go into tonight and tomorrow morning. So there's tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Notice right here, this is where we expect to see some of the strongest winds, because here's what's going to happen. We've got that flow of wind, and then it kind of pushes down the mountains, and that really helps to kind of amplify some of those winds a little bit here. And not to mention, you've got a lot of valleys within the mountains, and so the winds will funnel through those valleys, and that tends to really give us some really gusty winds. Not to mention, too, a lot of the higher exposed mountaintops will see some of the strongest winds as well. But you'll notice in the valley, a little gusty, but not terrible at this point. Look at the coast, not that bad. Now we go into Thursday around noon. You see we got the winds kind of picking up, especially the northwest side of the valley. There are those winds again in the mountains there, pretty strong in the eastern mountains as well. Not as bad for the coast. Now we take into Thursday afternoon, a little gusty for the valley. Not as bad for the mountains, but eastern mountains still pretty gusty. But check out Friday morning. We're taking to Friday morning here, and what we're going to see here is those winds kind of amplify a bit. So I do expect, looks like Thursday night into Friday morning, at this point, looks to be some of the strongest winds that we will see for the valley, for the mountains east of the valley, and even some of the eastern mountains as well. Even parts of southern Trinity County, southeastern Humboldt County could see some winds as well Friday morning. Then we go into Friday afternoon, and finally the winds may start to die down. Still some leftover winds probably in the eastern mountains, but not as bad. And we should start to see those winds subside as we get into the weekend. And that's what's going to set us up for a gorgeous weekend. Temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center still has us in that above normal category in the long range. And check this out. Remember, I was showing you that pattern, that shifting from the warmer weather that we're going to see to these storm systems kind of pushing through that are going to help to drop our temperatures back down closer to normal. With that said, there may eventually be some rain embedded in with some of those storm systems as well. Not a lot, and that's why it's kind of closer to that near normal category. But you may recall, up until now, we've been well within that below normal category. But we're beginning to see signs in the long range looking down the pike that there may be signs of some wet weather. Doesn't look guaranteed. I'm not too optimistic that we're going to see a ton of rain in that long range, but the pattern certainly suggests that we could at least see some rain in that long range. Okay, so take a look at the wave heights, and you can see they're actually going to start to decrease as we go into your Thursday, which is good because when we take a look at your marine forecast, we do actually have that small craft advisory here for the day today. We got those winds from the north at about 10 to 20 knots and waves from the northwest at 15 feet at about 14 seconds. All right, let's take a look at your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures in the mid to upper 50s to around 60. And there, of course, we got the dry conditions for the next 7 days. 53 for Forest Glen, 54 out in Ruth, 57 in Hayfork, and 51 degrees in Wildwood. We take you up north, 55 for Honeydew, 55 out in Shelter Cove, 58 in Miranda. We take you up north with 55 degrees for Ferndale, 55 in Fortuna, and 53 degrees in Rio Dell. We take you up north, 56 in Trinidad, as well as McKinleyville, 55 in Eureka. There's Hoopa at about 59, as well as Willow Creek. All right, let's go and take a look at your forecast northward out towards Smith River, 59, 51 degrees in Gas Key. There's Orleans with a high of about 60, and Oric about 55 degrees. Here's your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, and there you can see about 53 degrees for Happy Camp, 55 in Horse Creek, 52 in Grenada, and there's a Gazelle at about 50. How about your Scott Valley neighborhood forecast? 49 for Greenview, 48 degrees in Etna, and there's Callahan at about 49 degrees. Central Eastern Siskiyou County, there you can see 47 degrees for Weed, 51 for Dunsmuir, and McLeod, a high of about 49 degrees. Here's your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, 45 degrees for Newell, 38 degrees in Cedarville, and Fort Bidwell, about 40 degrees. How about the Eastern Mountains? Well, there you can see out towards Bieber, about 45, 47 degrees for Fall River Mills, and Old Station, about 43 degrees. And how about our friends out at Lake Almanor, right? Looks pretty good there. Not too bad. 49 degrees, 45 degrees out of the peninsula, 47 for Lake Almanor West. All right, let's take a look at that Eastern Mountains forecast. And of course, got the viewer in Janesville. There's your forecast for today. 41 degrees, 47 degrees in Susanville, 45 in Greenville. And there's Paradise with a high of about 58 degrees. How about your Valley neighborhood forecast? You can see about 64 degrees for Los Molinos, Chico 64, 64 degrees for Oroville. Breezy today, windy tomorrow, and then the wind subsiding through the day on Friday. Take you up north with a high of 59 for Whiskeytown. Cottonwood about 63. Looks like Palisadro about 63, and Lakehead topping out at about 56 degrees. So there's a look at your 7-day outlook for Redding. There's the breezy conditions for your Wednesday, windy for Thursday, just off and on breezy, windy conditions here really through Friday. And then temperatures really do start to ramp up after that. Again, we're warming up, but it's not going to be like super warm today or even tomorrow, but we're getting closer to 70 by tomorrow, low 70s by Friday, mid to upper 70s. So when we're talking 78 degrees on Sunday, we're still looking out 5 days at that point. We could, quite possibly, as I mentioned, flirt with that 80-degree mark, maybe even touch that 80-degree mark in some spots here. Otherwise, temperatures will start to slowly drop after that for your first day of spring. Yes, it'll be the vernal equinox, as it's known, and that's when we transition from winter to spring. Spring's always a fun time of the year, right? Isn't that just a great time of the year? Winter is when we can get all the rain, the snow that we need, but then spring is when we get to enjoy everything that water brings. Good morning, y'all. Dogs and I are counting on the warm spell. Yes, I think for the most part, the overall vibe with this warmer weather is bring it on. I think there are some people who are like, I don't want it to be this warm or whatever. I mean, there's always going to be, this and that. But I think the overall consensus is that we can enjoy this, and it's going to be beautiful. Beautiful expectations day. I like that. Today is beautiful expectations, not just for the weather, but just beautiful expectations in general, what we can expect for the day. I like that, Noel. Nice one. So there you have it, folks. That is your forecast. Take a look at some of those cameras out there this morning. We are looking just north of Trinidad, and we are looking at the Elk Country, that is, Elk Country Lodge. Elk Country Lodge. Elk Country Resort. Of course, that's an RV resort. It's a great place to go. Of course, you got the red schoolhouse there. Can't see it there. It's still in black and white as it kind of transitions, but beautiful start to the day there. So that's going to do it, folks. Thank you all so much for watching this morning. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Coffee with Krueger, bright and early at 6:30. Until then, enjoy your day. Enjoy the beautiful warmer weather, more sunshine as well. But get ready for those winds to begin to pick up today, and especially going into tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.